Tonight was the Halloween edition of AEW Dynamite from Boston, in case you couldn't tell by that main event. I already see all the divided opinion here in the chat. But the big story this afternoon was Ring of Honor announcing that it was taking a pause. Ring of Honor is going on hiatus to make changes to the company's business operations. How long are they going to be taking a hiatus for? At least until April of 2022, and it could be even longer than that. A lot of uncertainty about the future of Ring of Honor, and I'm going to have a lot more on this on episode 728 of the podcast coming up on Sunday, but I did want to talk a little bit about this here before we get into tonight's Dynamite show, which I thought was a fun show. But let's talk just a little bit here about ROH, because this is a very big story. Ring of Honor has been around since 2002. Next year is going to be the 20-year anniversary of ROH. And the question now is, will there even be an ROH after year 20? What is it going to look like, even if it sticks around and we get Ring of Honor coming back in April? Or whenever it might come back, what's it even going to look like? What's the roster going to look like? What's the television product going to look like? We don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. And what we do know is that they will be running their Final Battle pay-per-view on December 11th. That show is a go. There is a TV taping in between now and then. That TV taping is a go next month as well. After the pay-per-view, though, they're going to go dark. And there will be no more events until the end of the first quarter of 2022. All talent signed to deals that are expiring at the end of this year, those deals will not be renewed. So I don't believe it's a case where everybody who's under contract as of today is free and clear to go, kind of move around as they wish. There are still going to be some events this year, but by the end of the year, if you are under contract to Ring of Honor and your deal is supposed to be up, you're done. And you will be free at that point to pretty much go wherever you want. Go work wherever, sign wherever. A lot of people were already tweeting on social media that they are available for bookings so they can start putting their booking schedule together. And Ring of Honor, I assume, will help certain people who want to work somewhere else. They'll work with them. If there are contractual hurdles of some kind, they're going to work with them, because the last thing they want to do is prevent people from being able to go out and work. When you have uncertainty about whether or not the company is going to come back, and if so, when, people have to work. They have to get their name out there. They have to hit the road. They have to get in the ring. And if Ring of Honor is not going to be running shows, then this roster is going to have to move on and start working elsewhere. Joe Koff is the COO of Ring of Honor. He did a 30-minute interview earlier this afternoon, actually late this evening, that popped up on pwinsider.com. I listened to the entire thing, and if you listen to it, he sounds completely, downtrodden is probably a good word for it. He sounds very down to the dumps. He had just gotten off a call, I guess, with the other members of the roster, giving them the bad news. I mean, there's no way to spin this. This is not good news. And so he sounded like someone who was very deflated about the entire situation. He's been part of Ring of Honor now for a number of years. I can remember being at Ring of Honor shows at the Manhattan Center, and you would see Joe Koff walking around, standing in the audience, watching the show, interacting with fans. I talked to him, casual, hello, how are you? How are you enjoying the show kind of stuff. He and I never had deep conversations about business or anything like that, but you always would see him at the events. He's been part of the Ring of Honor picture for a very long time. So I can believe that today was a very difficult day for him. He was trying in this interview to be positive about everything, but you could hear it in his voice. The guy was very emotional about what was unfolding here. And he explained it like this. He said they expanded and they signed a lot of talent to some big contracts, because in order to compete with WWE and other promotions, you have to be able to compete for talent. And so they were doling out big contracts to bring in some big names, and they were trying to grow and they were trying to expand. And then the pandemic hit, and they simply were not able to do it. That's a big part of why they're now in the situation that they're in. Although, you could argue that things weren't always, it wasn't as if Ring of Honor was growing by leaps and bounds even before the pandemic. True, they did run a show in Madison Square Garden. They became the only non-WWE company to run a wrestling show in decades in Madison Square Garden. I would argue that a good part of why they were able to sell out that event, which I was at, WrestleMania weekend in 2019, had to do with New Japan Pro Wrestling sending some of its biggest names to work the show. And certainly being there at the event that night, if you were at that show, you would probably agree that the New Japan portion of the show is what really delivered more than the Ring of Honor portion. I don't think that MSG show really did them any favors, but it was a feather in their cap, the fact that they were even able to run the Garden in the first place, right? After that, it was pretty much all downhill because a year later, we were in the middle of a pandemic, everything got shut down, and to their credit, you have to give Ring of Honor credit for this. Out of all the wrestling promotions, Ring of Honor took the whole pandemic situation, the whole COVID situation, more seriously than any other promotion. They were not running events. They were not running events with fans, but they went above and beyond just the shows without fans. I mean, WWE ran shows without fans as well. AEW did, but Ring of Honor was, a couple of steps ahead of them in terms of how strict and how stringent they were. They took every measure they felt that they could to keep their talent safe, to keep fans away. Maybe it didn't make for a very exciting product. It's just like it's not like the Thunderdome shows were exactly fun to watch either. But they dealt with the situation. They took it very seriously. And I think they should be complimented for that, because it would have been very easy for them to say, well, it's hurting our show. We need people in the building and we need to get back on the road and we need to be doing all of this stuff. But they kept their roster together. They kept their people paid. And they took that situation very seriously. And I think they should be commended for it. But the pandemic obviously did a number on them. And now, according to Koff, they have to change their whole business plan. I mean, he's talking about this like it's basically one giant reset for the company. They're going to take the first quarter off to what he says, reimagine. That's the word they used in their statement, reimagine. And every time I hear that word reimagine, I hear that word a lot when it comes to movies, right? If there was a movie that came out 20 years ago, 30 years ago, great movie, all of a sudden you hear that some movie studio, some director, they're going to reimagine the movie. I mean, you see a giant pumpkin on your screen right now. It'd be like somebody coming along and saying, we're going to take, a classic Halloween movie that was, revered by everybody who saw it. We're going to reimagine it. If I heard that, my antenna would go up right away and I would say, I don't like that. That usually doesn't end well. So when I hear that they're going to reimagine Ring of Honor, I don't know what that looks like. If you are a diehard Ring of Honor fan, and I will admit I have not been a diehard Ring of Honor fan for many, many years, and it's been many years since I've been consistently going to their shows. I was at the Madison Square Garden show, but outside of that, I mean, the last time was probably one of the Terminal 5 shows in New York, and that was going back 6 or 7 years. Some of the most fun I've ever had at wrestling events was at those Ring of Honor shows at the Manhattan Center. But if you are a diehard Ring of Honor fan, you don't want to hear that word, reimagine. The other word they used was reconceptualize. This is corporate jargon. This is corporate speak that no real fan, I think, of the promotion wants to hear. He said that the product is going to have a different look. It's not going to look like WWE or AEW. He says it might not even look like the Ring of Honor that everybody has come to know if you've seen their television show. It's going to look very different when and if they come back. He literally, during the interview, at one point referred to it as ROH 2.0. I don't even know if he realized it when he said it, but he referred to it as ROH 2.0. I don't know if they're going to have a colorful logo and they're going to get Wale to sing their song. I don't think that's what he meant. On other questions, he was evasive. Honestly, I doubt even he has all the answers at this point. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful tweeted, "We are told that Joe Koff told Talent he had multiple meetings trying to fight for Ring of Honor, but ultimately Sinclair made the call." Sinclair, of course, owns Ring of Honor 100%. They own the company. He says, "Talent was told there was some type of TV show that will be in place after Final Battle, but we're not told what it would be." The fact that they are not committing to April as an absolute return date leaves things very open-ended. This could very well be, and I'm not trying to sound alarmist here, but if you read between the lines, this could very well be the end of Ring of Honor. The thing is, nobody knows for sure. But it could be the end of Ring of Honor in what would be its 20th year of existence. I think it was June of 2002 when they held their first event. And we're heading into 2022, 20 years later. Think about that. Impact could potentially outlast Ring of Honor. There was a period of time, even though Impact had better television at one point than Ring of Honor, with all the dysfunction that company's had over the years with the different regimes and Dixie and Bischoff and everybody else, to think that Impact, I said many years ago, I said, there's going to be a nuclear holocaust. And the only thing that you're going to have left on this earth are cockroaches crawling around and Impact Wrestling. And I still stand by that. Come hook or crook, Impact is going to outlast everybody. Look, he says they plan on coming back. This doesn't sound good. This doesn't sound good. And I hope they come back. I hope they can figure out a way to make this work, because I think the wrestling business is better, with more promotions out there. In the end, it's going to be a Sinclair call. Ultimately, it is not going to be up to Joe Koff. It's not going to be up to the fans. It's going to be up to Sinclair Broadcast Group, because they own the company and they care about their bottom line. But, the reality is Sinclair is a multi-billion-dollar company. And if they want to keep Ring of Honor alive, they'll keep it alive, because they have the money and they have the resources to do it. I mean, they are a billion-dollar company. So if they really want to keep Ring of Honor alive, Sinclair holds the keys to do just that. Ultimately, it is their call whether or not that happens. The question is, do they want to? And if they keep it alive, are we just going to end up with a stripped-down version of whatever Ring of Honor was before all of this happened? I feel bad for the talent. I feel bad for the employees. The Briscoes, Jonathan Gresham, Roosh, Bandito, Dragon Lee. I know we have some Danhausen fans here in the chat. People are fanhausens of Danhausen. Brody King, Dalton Castle, who at one point was like a really big deal in wrestling. He's not as popular as he was at one point, but, still a talent. There's a lot of talent on that roster. And I feel bad for them. For them, there's going to be no shortage, I think, of opportunities for them to go out and find work. As talented as some of these guys are, they'll land on their feet. It's just a matter of where. Maybe even back in Ring of Honor. If they reboot and they do come back, they may well end up back in Ring of Honor. So some of them may not go anywhere. But my memories of Ring of Honor, as I've talked about, I was at a lot of their live events, and I can honestly say that I don't know that I've ever had more fun going to wrestling shows than I did during that 2006, I would say, to 2009 period of Ring of Honor. Mostly at the Manhattan Center when I would be there. Always had fun. There wasn't a single show that went by where I did not have fun. And the matches they had and some of the names they had at that time, I will always kind of, as a fan, cherish those memories. Because Ring of Honor was the hot product at that time until it wasn't. And you look at the Dynamite card tonight and you see names like, look at who was on the show tonight. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Bobby Fish, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, the Young Bucks. All of these people cut their teeth in Ring of Honor. All of these people were in a Ring of Honor ring before they ever set foot in a WWE ring, before AEW was even a thought in Tony Khan's head. They passed through Ring of Honor. Seth Rollins, who just won a contract on Monday night, even though he lost in Saudi Arabia. Now he's the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Tyler Black made a name for himself in Ring of Honor. The list of talent that has come through the curtain in that company and made a name for themselves there and has gone on to be big names in other companies, big names on TV today. It's an endless list. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. I mean, I could go on. But I was just pointing out names that we saw on TV tonight. Fact is, NXT raiding a lot of their talent years ago did a lot of harm to Ring of Honor. When Triple H decided he wanted to turn NXT into his own personal super indie, and they raided names from Ring of Honor, that was kind of the first death blow to the company. And they survived it, but all of a sudden Ring of Honor wasn't the hot, independent place to be anymore. Not as hot as it used to be. It wasn't the hotbed of talent because now all of a sudden they were going to NXT. They were going to Full Sail University. And then when AEW came along, that only just drove the dagger deeper into their chest. Little did they know when they assisted with the production of that All-In pay-per-view 3 years ago that they were engineering in a lot of ways, they were engineering their own downfall. It's really what they were doing. And they didn't even realize it at the time. All those elite guys, they left Ring of Honor. They went to go start up AEW. But they had a hand in producing that All-In pay-per-view in 2018. Little did they know. In fact, Ring of Honor still owns the footage. If Ring of Honor ever does go down and the tape library becomes available for someone to swoop in and buy, All-In is going to be part of that. I'm sure Tony Khan would love to be all over that to kind of get his hands on that. But little did they know. Would they have assisted if they could look into their crystal ball and see what the future would hold? Probably not. So the fact is, it's a sad situation. We don't have all the details yet, but that's what we know. I saw a very sad tweet before from Ian Riccaboni. He's the lead announcer for Ring of Honor, and he doesn't know what his future holds. He's very good. He's a very good announcer. Again, somebody who I think any company would benefit from having his voice as part of their broadcast. And hopefully everything will work out well for him and everybody else. I'll have more on this on 7/28 this Sunday. We'll do a fuller report on this on the podcast. And by the way, to make matters worse, as if all of that isn't bad enough, to make matters worse, a few hours ago, they tweeted that because of the cyber attack that hit Sinclair, I don't know if you heard about this, big ransomware attack hit Sinclair Broadcast Group just a couple of weeks ago. And it is affecting Ring of Honor. They said because of the technical difficulties, they called it, because of that cyber attack, they're going to be airing an encore episode, special edition of Ring of Honor television on Jay Lethal. Because I guess they didn't have the footage that they had taped. I guess they didn't have it saved to a separate hard drive. So they don't even have the footage for their television show available to use to run TV this week. So they have to put on some archival footage. So as if this isn't bad, this is just like rubbing salt in the wound here for Ring of Honor. When it rains, it pours. But let's talk about Dynamite, because that is, after all, what we are here to cover tonight. Dynamite was live, I believe, for the first time ever tonight. Dynamite was live on the West Coast. All you West Coast people who are joining me in the chat, you got to watch Dynamite for the first time live, just like the rest of us. I thought it was a fun show with a main event that is going to be very, very polarizing. I am sure. I'm already seeing some of it here. A lot of people are going to hate that main event. The main event of this show was positively ridiculous. I will give you that. Positively ridiculous. I had fun with it. And you know why I had fun with it? Because I knew coming into tonight, they said as much last week, this was the Halloween edition of Dynamite. So as soon as they said that, I knew that the Elite was coming out this week. Cosplaying is something. I didn't know what they were going to come out dressed up as. I didn't know the Dark Order was going to come out in their Halloween costumes, but I knew the Elite. I knew it was going to be like when they dressed up as the Space Jam people and they were dunking the basketball in the hoop. I knew it was going to be something, ridiculous like that. But it's the Halloween show. And I like Halloween. Halloween's my favorite holiday. And when we have wrestling shows that celebrate Halloween and people get all dressed up, I like that. I enjoy that. Not everybody does. But I knew what to expect. It was the Halloween show. They got dressed up. Yes, they looked ridiculous. Yes, it was stupid. I think you have your world champion out there dressed up like a fucking Ghostbuster with a proton pack on. But it was the Halloween show. I had fun with it. The crowd was going ape shit for John Silver and Stu Grayson. They were tearing it up in that main event there. Everybody was on their feet. I like the Marshmallow Man reveal with Hangman Page, disguised as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That I enjoyed. But the rest of it I could have done without. The women's match is something we're going to get into here. The women's match was the best match on the entire show. This was one of the best women's matches in AEW history here. We had our first round match, Serena, Deeb, and Hikaru Shida in a rematch from their last match a few weeks ago. Shida was looking for her 50th win. She got it on this show, but it came at a cost. Serena did not let her get away with that easily. But the two women killed it. Great fucking match. Not all the time that the women have time to go out there and have the best match on the show. Even with the commercial break that they always have for all of their women's matches. They came back. I thought they killed it. And we're going to get into that as well. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. You've already seen a bunch of them popping up on your screen. I think I saw Rodimus out of the corner of my eye, dropping a 30 spot. It's good to have Rodimus with us tonight. I hope everybody's in a festive mood. I said I love Halloween. Can't believe Halloween is already coming up on Sunday. It's almost over. It makes me very sad. But if you want to drop a super chat, I will be reading them later on here in the stream. You'll see them on your screen. And a quick alert for all of our channel members here on YouTube. Part 1 of the latest members-only Q&A is now up. That is over 40 minutes of video answering your questions. It went up on the channel earlier this afternoon. And there is going to be a part 2 going up on Saturday. And that's going to be another 30-plus minutes. So you're getting over an hour of Q&A this week. But in case you missed it, Part 1 is up right now, so when you're done here, you can go ahead and check that out. If you asked a question, chances are it's in there. And if it's not in there now, it'll be in there on Saturday. And yes, sports things, thank you. Let's get those likes up here in the chat. Hit that like button. Let's see how high we can get that here on the live portion of this show. So CM Punk was in the ring tonight, making his in-ring Dynamite debut. Up until now, he's pretty much been exclusive on TV to Rampage. But no more. One-on-one against Bobby Fish. Punk celebrated a birthday yesterday, and Bobby Fish celebrated a birthday today. October's a great month for birthdays. Punk teased an early GTS. Fish, though, grabbed the ropes to escape, and Punk clotheslined him out of the ring, hit a tope suicida. Punk went for his top rope elbow drop, but Fish rolled out to the floor and tripped him up, sent him crashing down to the apron. At that point, Fish focused in on Punk's left knee. He was throwing strikes. He was locking on submissions. For a while, Punk was selling the knee. They fought to the top rope. Punk was able to send Fish down to the mat. And he hit basically a one-footed elbow drop. He was hobbling off the top rope, but he hit the elbow. It didn't look pretty, but he hit the elbow. And Punk hit a neck breaker, hit his rising corner knee. Short arm clothesline combo. Fish countered a GTS with a dragon screw. Punk cradled him. And Fish bridged out of it, but Punk got him up and hit the GTS out of nowhere. And Punk was still selling the knee. So he hits the GTS, but he doesn't immediately go for the cover. First, he's clutching the knee. A few seconds go by. He crawls over. He covers Bobby Fish. And he got the pin, but it was very awkward. He got the pin. Bobby Fish kicked out. He got a shoulder up at 3.1. So as soon as the referee counts 3, Fish gets the shoulder up. The camera zoomed in on Punk's face. Punk's looking up at the referee, Paul Turner, like, what the fuck just happened? It came across, I don't know if this was by design. The fact that he had the knee injury and the fact that he took longer to crawl over. He got the win, but, let's have Fish kick out, immediately after. I don't know if it was by design or if this was a botch. This looked to me like they went to the finish a little too early. The referee maybe counted 3 when he wasn't supposed to. I don't know who was at fault. It came off to me like this match had another minute or two maybe left in it. Punk did not look thrilled. But I thought the match was solid. It was definitely, I thought, the weakest CM Punk match we've seen yet. His match with Darby Allin, Powerhouse Hobbs, even Daniel Garcia was better. I thought better than this. So I thought this was the weakest of the bunch, but still solid stuff to open up the show. We had a Malachi Black video. I love this. He addressed Cody Rhodes and said that he turned his family against him. He made the fans hate him. So even though he lost in their match on Saturday, he goes, the house always wins. He got what he was looking for. And I like that. I like that explanation because even though he lost, he still won. That's what he's saying here. I may have lost the fight, but I won the war because I showed people who you really are, and I turned all of these people, including your own family, against you. Playing mind games. I like that explanation. We had MJF in action next, a rare MJF match on TV. Even Excalibur was like, MJF has fulfilled his quarterly obligation to actually step into the ring and wrestle. One-on-one against Bryce Donovan, who I don't believe we have ever seen before on Dynamite. They said he has been training for a decade in MMA. I don't know what that has to do with him wrestling pro, but there was Mr. Donovan looking like a long-lost young buck. MJF made short work of Mr. Donovan. 20 seconds worth of short work. Went for a handshake, and then he kicked Donovan in the gut, dragged him over to the ropes, hit the Heat Seeker for the win. Shout out to Future Endeavored in the chat. I hope your day tomorrow is better than your day today, brother. Have a good night. Show some love for Future Endeavored. So he hit the Heat Seeker for the win. MJF took the mic when the match was over. Called Boston a shithole. Yeah, they were in Boston tonight. They were in Boston. So he called Boston a shithole. Says, pinning shoulders on mats and banging rats is what MJF is all about. But he would rather stick his junk in a blender than go near any of their fat, ugly women. Now, it's been a while since I've been to Boston, so all you Bostonians out there, is that true? I don't remember there being too many ugly women in Boston, but I haven't been to Boston in a while, so perhaps, I don't know, perhaps the scene has changed. MJF brought up Darby Allin, said that he broke him mentally. And Darby was scared to show up to work. He should be scared after he knocked out his scary uncle, Sting, last week. And MJF said that now that Darby was out of his hair, nothing could stop him from his destiny, which is becoming a future AEW World Champion. All of a sudden, Sting's music hits, and MJF looks really scared for a second before he starts laughing, and Shawn Spears is in the ring and he's laughing, and he, obviously they did the old Shawn Michaels fake out with the Bret Hart music many years ago, which got great heat for Shawn Michaels in that Raw segment, and this got good heat for MJF here too. But then things went dark, and MJF said to Spears, haha, very funny. And Spears said, it's not me. And then they showed a video on the Giantron of a guy or someone wearing a paper MJF mask. Piece of paper with MJF's face printed on it as a mask. And this person walks onto stage at some concert somewhere, and then all of a sudden, from stage left, here comes Darby Allin with a drop kick, knocks this guy down. I have no idea what the point of any of this was, because we had a big reveal coming 10 seconds later in the crowd. Darby Allin was in the crowd. I don't know why we had to see him on screen at this random concert. I have no fucking clue what that was about. That was, I think, pretty pointless and unnecessary. When the lights came back on, Sting was in the ring. And he took out Wardlow and Shawn Spears with his baseball bat. Darby, then, is in the crowd. We see MJF is keeping his distance. He's got his back turned by the barricade, and in the background, we see a guy dressed as the Invisible Man with the bandages wrapped around the head, and this person has glasses on. He starts unraveling the bandages. He's wearing a raincoat. He pulls the bandages off, and we see that it's Darby Allin. I thought that was actually pretty cool, him being dressed as the Invisible Man. MJF, he scrambled up onto the stage. He got the hell out of there. But Darby went after Wardlow and Spears with a skateboard that had thumbtacks on the bottom of it. He hit Wardlow in the back with it. And Darby grabbed the mic, and he told MJF that he would see him at Full Gear. I like the Invisible Man bit, but I thought the concert part was stupid. I don't really know what the point of that was. But now we have the match. What did I say last week? I said, probably going to see Darby come back in Boston. And that's what happened. And now we have the singles match at Full Gear. It is official. We had Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter in the back with Tony Schiavone interviewing Britt. This Friday on Rampage, Britt's going to have a trick or treat match, which is basically no disqualification, one-on-one against Abaddon. If Abaddon wins, she will get a shot at her AEW Women's Championship. That's the treat. She wanted to know what the trick was, and Tony Schiavone said, well, that's the no DQ stipulation. That's the trick. And Britt smiled, and she said, no DQ, huh? And she looked over at Rebel and Hayter, and she said, well, I got a couple of tricks of my own. And I thought, well, that's an odd way of saying it. And sure enough, Rebel looks at Hayter. Hayter looks at Rebel like, what the hell did she just call us? A couple of tricks. Not a very nice way of describing your best friends here. We had Sammy Guevara one-on-one against Ethan Page. Spooky Halloween. I love it. I love Halloween. Sammy Guevara defending the TNT Championship against All Ego Ethan Page. If Sammy loses, he must leave the Inner Circle forever. If he wins, the Inner Circle gets to choose which members of American Top Team will be part of the big 10-man tag that Jericho challenged them to at Full Gear. So Sammy bolts down to the ring, and he attacks Ethan Page before the bell, sends Page to the floor, and Sammy hits this awesome-looking flipping dive out over the top, like a million miles an hour. This is like a Darby Allin dive, out over the top rope. That looked great. And he tosses Page over the timekeeper's table. Finally, the match starts. Sammy had control until Page crotched him on the top turnbuckle and sent him down to the floor. Sammy fought out of the Ego's Edge, made a comeback with some clotheslines and an enziguri, and he landed a double springboard cutter and a standing Spanish fly for 2, and then a top rope shooting star press down onto Ethan Page, who was standing on the floor. Back inside, Page body slammed Guevara off the top rope, hit a running shoulder tackle that turned Sammy inside out, and Page went for a top rope Ego's Edge, but Sammy reversed into a Hurricane Rana, cradled him to retain the championship. I thought this was a really fun match. I enjoyed this more than the Punk match. You know, Sammy was super over. Sammy was he looked great here in this match. This guy was on fire. After the match, Scorpio Sky ran down. He and Page beat down Guevara. The Inner Circle ran out to make the save. And then Jericho took the mic. And Chris Jericho told Scorpio Sky he respected the fact that he has beaten him twice, but he told Ethan Page the only thing that he has beaten is himself in his hotel room. How does he know that? That's what Ethan Page should have asked him. How do you know what I was doing in my hotel room? It's going to be Jericho's new gimmick, Peeping Tom. He said since Sammy won, they would get their 5-on-5 match at Full Gear, and Jericho revealed the match would be a Minneapolis street fight. I had one person who tweeted me who said that he has, I don't know if he lives in the Twin Cities or he's visited the Twin Cities before. He wanted me to tell him what exactly is a Minneapolis street fight. I said, what the fuck are you asking me for? I haven't been to Minneapolis. I needed you to tell me what a Minneapolis street fight was. So someone in the chat, please tell me, How does a Minneapolis street fight differentiate from a Chicago street fight or a New York City street fight? There's got to be something different about it. What is it about a Minneapolis street fight? I would like to know. Perhaps somebody lives in Minneapolis and can clue me in. I'd like to know what makes this different. Next week, they're going to decide which members of American Top Team would join the match. Hey, Steven Chappa, dropping $50 as Vince McMahon takes that deep breath that he inhales. He was so stressed out that day when Linda lost for the second time. He saw all that money being flushed down the toilet. Steven, thank you. Called Dan Lambert a pumpkin-headed dipshit and then quoted an Aerosmith song and said they would kick their ass at Full Gear. As all the people and all the younger AEW fans in the audience said, Arrow who? Who is he singing? What is this group? We've never heard of this Aerosmith before. Backstage, Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson were interviewed by Tony Schiavone ahead of their semifinal match in the World Title Eliminator. Kingston said he takes a Zoloft every morning so he doesn't flip out and hurt people. Told Bryan that he fights depression and anxiety every day, and he wasn't going to let Bryan talk down to him until he walked a mile in his shoes. Kingston walked off, and then it was Danielson's turn to respond. And he said that was the Eddie Kingston that he wanted to see. That's the Eddie Kingston he wants to wrestle. He said everybody in the locker room fights through similar things, and they still put the work in. They still do the work. He's been through it too, but he doesn't complain about it. Some of the best wrestlers in the world are in this tournament, but on Friday night, he said that he will prove that he is the best. I love the fire from both these guys. I thought this was a very good segment here, especially Danielson. Great stuff, though, from both these guys. Got me very excited to see them step in the ring together on Friday. No update on Lance Archer. Apparently Lance Archer is okay, but unless I missed it, I don't think they actually gave us an update on the show. Archer himself has updated us on social media. He's doing okay, but after what happened last week, I thought it would have been nice for them to say something. Unless Excalibur did, and I just missed it. But he is okay after that scary moonsault in the match with Eddie Kingston. Backstage, we had the Lucha Brothers challenging FTR to a match at Full Gear for their AEW Tag Team titles. They're going to put their belts on the line to decide who the best tag team in the world really is. And then later on in the show, we had an FTR segment responding. So that match now is official for Full Gear. Speaking of tournaments, you go from the AEW World Title Eliminator talk to the TBS title tournament with the ladies. Serena Deeb one-on-one against Hikaru Shida. Still searching for her 50th win in AEW. She lost to Serena Deeb a few weeks ago. Serena deprived her of that 50th win. So she was trying to score one over on her tonight. This was, as I said earlier on in the stream, this was one of the best women's matches in AEW history. This was an excellent match. This match rocked. Shida landed some strikes from the mount position. Deeb, though, rolled out to the floor. She wrapped Shida's leg around the ring post a couple of times, and Serena went for a third time, but Shida pulled her into the ring post. Shida went out to the floor, put Serena on the apron, and pulled her into the ring with an inside-out suplex. Deeb landed a chop block, and she had firm control of the match through the ad break. Shida made her comeback, hit a series of strikes and a sliding clothesline, missile drop kick, and a delayed vertical suplex for a near fall. Serena fired back with a dragon screw and applied, or was going for a submission, but Shida sent her out to the floor. And when she sent Serena out to the floor, Serena took an ugly spill. Looked like she fell ass over tea kettle, almost landed on her head. Maybe she did. We couldn't see because it was if this is the hard camera, she fell out of the ring on the side opposite the hard camera, but it did not look like a fun way to fall out of the ring. Shida tried to use the stairs and she did, for a springboard missile drop kick. She propelled herself off. Serena got control, and she got on a Bret Hart-style figure 4 leg lock wrapped around the ring post. She did it on the side with the ring steps. So instead of Serena hanging down the way Bret used to, she was basically laying on the ring steps, but she got the hold applied. Haven't seen somebody use that move in a while. She went for another figure 4 in the ring, but Shida reversed into a roll-up for a near fall. Shida was setting up for a running knee strike, and Serena rolled through, and she sunk in a half crab. And she transitioned into an inverted figure 4. Shida got to the ropes, and Serena grabbed Shida's plaque. The plaque that they were ready to present to her a few weeks ago for her 50th win, which she never got. Serena grabbed the plaque, which was at ringside, and she tried to use it. Shida, though, had it scouted. She grabbed the plaque, and she was going to use it on Serena, which Serena would have loved, because if she did, that would have been a disqualification, even though AEW basically never does a disqualification. One time, I've seen them do a disqualification, so what the referee would have done, we'll never know. Had she used it as a weapon, it should have been a disqualification. Referee took the plaque away, and when the referee did that, Serena poked Shida in the eye, cradled her for a great near fall. I thought she had it there, but she kicked out. And there was another back and forth cradle exchange, and finally Shida got the win with a cradle. After the match, Serena gave Shida a chop block from behind. She didn't even see it coming. Went out to the floor, grabbed the chair, and she brought it in and started smashing Shida's knee over and over and over again with this chair. A vicious attack by Serena Deeb. And then she locked in the Serenity Lock, and she wouldn't let go. And a bunch of referees ran down to the ring. Jerry Lynn ran down to the ring. Somebody should have asked Jerry Lynn about that XPW question. We were talking about that in the Dark Side of the Ring review I did on XPW last week, when Luke Hawx was telling a story that Rob Black denies. Somebody needs to ask Mr. Lynn about that. Anyway, I thought this was great, and obviously this attack here on Shida's knee is going to play a role in her match in the next round against Nyla Rose. Probably going to cost her the match. I'm going to guess that I almost said Ruby Riott. Ruby Soho beats Chris Statlander. Probably goes on to wrestle Nyla Rose after Nyla beats Shida. That would be my guess. And we'll end up with Ruby against Nyla. Hopefully with Ruby winning and moving on. But this was an excellent match. I was sad to see Serena lose. I was pulling for her to win the entire thing. I said either Thunder Rosa would be the babyface choice for me, or Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb has been bounced. Thunder Rosa is going to be wrestling Jade Cargill. I don't know when that match is scheduled, but that is taking place in the next round. But then there's Ruby, it could be a Ruby Soho win. I don't know if they want a heel or a babyface to go over in this tournament, but this match was great. If I had to pick one match for you to go watch, if you didn't see any of Dynamite tonight, this would be the match. Lio Rush and Dante Martin were backstage with Tony Schiavone, and there was a tag team match that was supposed to take place with Dante and Lio taking on Matt and Mike Sydal, but apparently Mike Sydal is injured, and so instead it is going to be part 3. Dante Martin one-on-one against Matt Sydal in a singles match. Lio Rush seemed to imply that the Sydal brothers were ducking him. And he said that his in-ring debut will simply have to wait for another time. So we're going to get Dante Martin again against Matt Sydal. Jon Moxley, one-on-one against Preston Vance, number 10 of the Dark Order. Again, we got aggressive Jon Moxley coming through the crowd, speeding to the ring. This guy is not getting paid by the hour. He wants to get in, he wants to get out. He grabbed Vance for a release German suplex. He went for another one, but Vance escaped. Moxley took things out to the floor and tossed him into the ring steps, and then he tried to tear his mask off. He was tearing at this guy's mask. He was biting him. He threw him headfirst into the ring post. Vance got into the ring. He was a bloody mess. So that might have been a hard way cut. You could see the mask was still on, but it was ripped. But you could see the blood just pouring, gushing from his head. Moxley took him down with a lariat, hit the paradigm shift for the win. And as quickly as he entered, he exited. And he had Preston Vance's blood smeared across his chest. And he went right back through the crowd and exited stage left. And that was the last we saw of Jon Moxley. I like the aggression. Whether or not it leads to a heel turn remains to be seen. It seems that way to me, and I think they should. I think it would be a nice change for his character to get this more aggressive Jon Moxley, but as a heel. Instead of, a babyface that everybody just cheers for. Again, I don't know, music-wise, if that works for him, if he ends up going heel, but we'll see. We'll see if they end up changing his alignment or not, but I like the new aggression that he's been showing on TV. So up next, we had a very interesting segment. We had Cody Rhodes, who beat Malachi Black in the finale of their trilogy on Saturday on Dynamite. He came to the ring with armed Anderson. And he was met by loud boos in Boston. So much like New York, and much like, I guess they were in Orlando, I believe, on Saturday, you could add another city to the list, booing Cody Rhodes out of the building. He said, whether you believe it or not, I hear you. He mentioned winning the match with the Tiger Driver 98 the other night against Malachi Black, but for a brief moment, he thought about hitting a different move. He never said it, but obviously he was implying the pedigree. But he thought about it. Said he didn't do that because that's too easy. He said the fans can remember who signs the checks, but don't forget the person who built the bank. And he took off his sneakers. He basically was saying, you don't know unless you've walked a mile in my shoes, which is what Eddie Kingston said earlier. But he took off his sneakers. He threw one sneaker this way. He threw the other sneaker the other way. There's a fan in the crowd that they zoomed in on who was like, what the fuck? What are you doing? If you're going to throw them out, at least throw them out together. Maybe somebody could actually wear them. But he threw his sneakers into the crowd and asked people to take a moment to walk in his shoes. And he said, I debuted at 20 years old. I have a wife who's too hot for me. It's very likely that my brother Dustin is better than me, because I'll never leave behind the cultural legacy of my father, Dusty. He says, I will not turn because I love you guys very much. And then he turned to Arn Anderson and said it was an honor to stand in the ring with him. He was interrupted by Andrade El Idolo, who the announcers don't even try anymore. I mean, Shivani, Jim Ross, they just call him Andre at this point. I mean, you may as well give him a fucking black singlet. Fucking Andre comes out, and he says the people don't like him and they don't like Cody, but the difference is that Andrade doesn't care. Cody makes dumb choices, like getting into Andrade's business. If Cody wants, Andrade says he can make him his little bitch. Then the lights go out. When the lights come back on, Malachi Black is in the ring. He sprays mist in Cody's face. Arn Anderson is being, he's pounding away on Jose, Andrade's manager, in the corner. But then they start attacking Arn Anderson. Down he goes. Out comes Pac. He sent the heels packing. Pac sent them packing. See what I did there? That's right. It's never too late for a good pun. Andre the Igloo, says Oni Loco in the chat. I will not turn. I hated that line. Now, if what he was saying is, I will not turn my back on you people, that wouldn't have bothered me as much. But because we get people, Jericho is guilty of this a lot. But a lot of people do this on AEW television, where they'll go on the show and they'll use, the insider vernacular and stuff. I mean, people do it on podcasts and YouTube shows as well. But when you're actually watching the show, I don't want to sit here and be hearing about heels and baby faces and marks and this and that. And to hear Cody stand in the ring and go, I will not turn. In the context of hearing him say it in an in-ring promo during the show, I didn't like that. I thought that was stupid. But when this was over, I just thought this promo is going to do absolutely nothing to get this man cheered. If he does not want to turn heel, and this was his way maybe of trying to show the fans, look, I understand where you're coming from, and lapse into this great babyface promo and get everybody on his side, it didn't work. Not only did it not work, it's only going to make things worse. So if he thinks he can basically bully the audience into cheering for him, it ain't going to work. It definitely didn't work here in this building. But I thought the end of the segment was a lot of fun. I'm not sold on Malachi Black, kind of hooking up with other people. I think he should be a loner. I think he should kind of do his own thing. But seeing him in the ring with Andrade going after Cody, here comes Pac. Obviously, we're going to get a tag team match at some point out of this. I thought the end of this segment, mass chaos as the heels were chased off. I thought that was fun. I liked the last part of the segment. But if Cody thought that, and maybe he didn't, maybe he knew exactly the reaction he would get. Maybe he's smarter than that. But if he or they think that they can still convince the crowd to start cheering for him, they've made up their mind. We have been to enough cities now, on enough Dynamites and enough Rampages now, after the Arthur Ashe show, which is really the first time I heard Cody really be booed loudly on the road in a city. But then they went to this city and that city and that city, and now Boston tonight. The crowd has made up its mind. So if he thinks that he is going to suddenly convince the crowd to be on his side and pander to them the way he did tonight, I don't think that's going to work out too well for Cody Rhodes. We had the main event. And it was Stu Grayson dressed as Kratos for Halloween. Evil Uno, John Silver dressed as Bambi, and Colt Cabana dressed as Brandon Cutler, taking on the Super Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, who came out dressed as the Ghostbusters to a remixed version of the song, which it basically had the Ghostbusters beat. The song itself actually was kind of catchy. It didn't sound bad. What makes it all the more impressive is it was a Mikey Ruckus creation. He does a lot of the music for AEW. And he tweeted out, got the call at 5:30 this evening. Got the call at 5:30. We need a Ghostbusters type track. Stuck in traffic until 6:15 p.m. Started producing at 6:28. Computer froze at 7:18. Lost 30 minutes of progress. Didn't panic. Reworked, mixed, delivered at 8:03 p.m. So if he only first found out about this at 5:30 this evening and got the music done at 8 o'clock and that was the finished product, kudos to him. He did a fucking hell of a job, because I thought it was kind of a catchy remix version of the music. Whatever you thought of the segment, I didn't know that he had to turn that around in that quick period of time. That was impressive. So kudos to Mikey Ruckus on that. Radical Velocity says, can't top Ray Parker Jr. Well, of course not. Can't top the original. The original song is great. But to turn that around in that amount of time, that was impressive. So Omega and Uno tagged in. He looked completely ridiculous. So Kenny Omega is the AEW World Champion. He was dressed as a Ghostbuster he was wrestling with a proton pack on his back. He looked fucking ridiculous. The Elite distracted Rick Knox, which is not hard to do. It's like a fucking cat. If you throw a ball of yarn on the floor, you'll distract Rick Knox. If I shine a little light on the ceiling, you'll distract Rick Knox. Doesn't take much to distract this guy. And the Elite ended up taking control. They go to break, come back. Dark Order makes a comeback. Grayson hits the back-flipping knee strikes. Got the hot tag to Colt Cabana. He landed a springboard moonsault press and the bionic elbow. Went for his Superman pin. Almost got it. But it got broken up by Adam Cole. Cabana's run got cut off by a super kick from Nick Jackson. John Silver went on a fucking tear. I saw Cesaro do this once on Raw many years ago, and I've seen John Silver do this in AEW a few times, and it's always fun to watch. It's just this rapid-fire, offensive, just flurry. He knocks down one guy, knocks down another, and another, and another, and he's going all around the ring, and the place is going nuts, and this little guy is just beating the shit out of everybody, and everybody is losing their minds here. So this was a very fun little offensive flurry here from Mr. Silver. So he ended up running into some super kicks, though, from the Elite, and Kenny Omega crushed him with a Snapdragon. Super kick, Ushi-Goroshi combo, went for the pin, got broken up by Stu Grayson. Evil Uno came in, hit the referee-assisted neckbreaker. We got a whole parade of big moves, which ended with Matt Jackson super kicking the referee. So down goes Rick Knox. Good. The guy, it's not like he was very useful up to this point in this match anyway. Down goes Rick Knox. Grayson was going for his big move. Matt Jackson, though, low-blowed him before every member of the Dark Order took low blows from the members of the Elite. So they hit they hit all the Dark Order members with their proton packs. You know, I used to have a proton pack when I was probably 8 years old, 9 years old, something like that. I had a proton pack. I had the thing that you slide out and it opens so the ghosts go into it. I forgot what it's called. It had a fucking name. I just forgot what it's called. I had all that stuff. And it's very cool on Halloween to walk around wearing your proton pack. But again, the visual of Kenny Omega wearing it in the ring is ridiculous. But what they ended up doing is hitting a triple powerbomb to Colt Cabana onto the proton pack. So they put all the proton packs down on the mat, slammed him down, crushed him. Other Dark Order members came down to the ring to get involved. And there was a Dark Order member who was dressed as a horse. And a lot of people, including the Elite, thought that it was probably Hangman Page, right? Cowboy shit. So they thought he was in the costume. And the Elite low-blowed the horse, and they hit the BTE trigger. When they unmasked him, it wasn't Hangman Page, though. It was Brandon Cutler. All of a sudden, behind the Bucks is someone in a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume. And you know who it is. Pulls the head off, and it's Hangman Page. Place goes nuts. And old Stay Puft hits the buckshot lariat to Matt Jackson. Stu Grayson lands an Orihara moonsault on the pile of bodies outside. Hangman hits the Deadeye. And John Silver hits the Spin Doctor for the win. Dark Order are victorious over the Super Elite. This was absolutely ridiculous, of course, but it's Halloween. It was a gimmick match for Halloween. I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's worth, shitting on the entire show. I don't think it's worth getting angry or upset about. If it was any other week other than Halloween, heading into a pay-per-view with a big world title match in the main event, you had guys out there cosplaying as fucking Egon and Ray, then I'd have an issue with it. But for a Halloween show, I thought it was mindless fun. Even the parts of it that I thought were dumb. By the end of it, the Dark Order got a big win. Hangman got one over on Omega and the Elite as we head into Full Gear. Next week, there won't be any proton packs. There won't be anything like that. It'll be back to business. So, again, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's worth getting upset about. I look at it and took it for what it was, which was just, a fun, silly main event on a Halloween-themed show. And I knew that because they said last week that this was going to be the Halloween show. So I don't know why anybody would be surprised by people dressing up for Halloween in the main event. Now, you could say that maybe this shouldn't have gone on in the main event. Then what do you put in the main event? Punk and Bobby Fish is not a match I would have put in the main event. The women had the best match on the show, but I can understand not wanting that to be the main event either, because you wanted to go off the air maybe with a happy angle, and with the women, you had Shida being destroyed by, Serena at the end of their match. So This was going to be the main event anyway, just by process of elimination, but it was fun. Stupid and silly, but fun for Halloween. Now, Rampage coming up on Friday has Bryan Danielson one-on-one against Eddie Kingston in the World Title Eliminator semifinal. Dante Martin against Matt Sydal, Part 3. Trick or Treat match, Britt Baker, non-title, one-on-one against Abaddon, with her tricks outside the ring. Dynamite next Wednesday has Cody Rhodes against Andre. I'm going to start calling him Andre too, since the announcers do. I'll do the same thing. Cody against Andre. TBS title tournament, Anna Jay one-on-one against Jamie Hayter. Jon Moxley against Orange Cassidy in the World Title Eliminator. Chambly Games says no Gozer. I didn't see Gozer on the show tonight, no. I didn't. I didn't see the Gatekeeper on the show. I didn't see the Gatekeeper. I didn't see Vigo. No Vigo on the show. Let's check out the poll and see what the results are. 87% thumbs up and 12% thumbs down, with over 1,000 votes in at Solomonster. That is the place to go. You guys know the drill. Every week, put the poll up on Twitter. It's a good place to follow me anyway for any kind of show-related updates. So go ahead and vote. We have a poll going in the chat as well. And right now, that's 89 up and 11% thumbs down. So those of you who are joining me live, you can chime in there. We got a lot of chatting going on right now. And we also have a lot of super chatting. And I have a black screen. It's because I forgot to open your super chat window. Silly me. Tricks are for kids. And they're in Britt Baker's corner, apparently, this Friday. Okay, here we go. Now we got it. Now we got your super chats. All right. You got questions, you got comments. Now's the time to get them in. I shall do my best to read them and answer them. And we'll hang out here, have ourselves a little super chat party on a Wednesday night. What are your Halloween plans, by the way? I want to know what you guys are doing for Halloween. You going out? You're staying in? What are you doing? I used to go out on Halloween. I will have to live vicariously through all of you. I want to know what your Halloween plans are. Kagis. Happy best holiday. Who better than Solomonster? Nobody. Nobody. Michael Darcy. Michael Darcy, I finally get to watch Dynamite and the Solomonster live on the West Coast. Cheers to you and the chat. That is a new change that TNT made. And now everybody can celebrate their ability now to watch Dynamite live like the rest of us every week. You know, I hadn't even really thought about the fact that the folks on the West Coast were watching at, I guess, 5 o'clock in the evening? Dinner time, where you are? Brian Anthony Rivers, what are your opinions on ROH and who do you see coming to AEW? If you want to know my thoughts on Ring of Honor, just go back to the beginning of the stream. I covered it the first several minutes, and I'm going to cover it some more on the podcast on Sunday. Joshua Carlos, Ocean Man. You live near the ocean? What makes you the Ocean Man? Who do you think is Punk's Full Gear opponent? Also, buy or sell Bret Hart against Mr. Perfect at the King of the Ring 93 semifinals, or Triple H against Cactus Jack, Royal Rumble 2000? Buy on Hart and Perfect, King of the Ring 93. It's one of my favorite matches all time. Punk's Full Gear opponent, they haven't done anything to set up an opponent for him at Full Gear. I'm going to say Wardlow, because that was scribbled on Tony Khan's card. If you remember when he got caught at the Jaguars game and he had what appeared to be the entire card mapped out for Full Gear, it said Punk against Wardlow. So it'll be interesting to see if they do anything on TV next week to set that up. But they have done nothing on television to set up a Punk opponent for Full Gear. Joshua again, MJF is such a good heel, incredible on the mic. He's one of the best. That's why I can't wait for him and Punk to start mixing it up. Get to see some Punk and MJF battles on the mic on TV. Can you name your favorite horror film antagonists? I mean, if we're talking villains here, I mean, yeah, obviously we can say Michael Myers, and we can say, you know, Chucky, and we can say, I can go back to the classics and say Frankenstein. You know, I mean, Dracula, Hannibal Lecter. Tuxedo T. Servo, shame about ROH. Respected how they treated talent during the pandemic. Going to be hard to restart if all their top people go elsewhere. That's why I'm saying, you know, I don't want to say that it's the end for Ring of Honor because they seem adamant that it isn't. But the fact that they're letting everybody go, I mean, there's two key things here to pay attention to. The fact that they're letting everybody out of their contract, or not renewing their contracts, and the fact that they're not committing for sure that April is going to be their restart date. That should alarm anybody who is a fan of Ring of Honor, who works for Ring of Honor. It does not bode well, I think, for the future of that company. Joshua, you see WWE trying Reigns versus Goldberg again. Yeah, I think at some point they're going to want to revisit it. They wanted to do it for WrestleMania, so I don't know that it would be a WrestleMania match, but yes, I think at some point they're going to want to revisit that match. Joshua, again, Kingston against Bryan is going to be phenomenal. I am looking forward after the War of Words on TV tonight. They got me hyped up for their match. I think it's going to be good. Bryan has yet to miss. Bryan has just been firing on all cylinders in every match against some very different opponents. He wins every match in a different way. So he and Kingston, I think, that could be more of a brawling type match. I want to see what he ends the match with. Because we know he's winning, right? But what's he going to win with? Powerful one with the $9.99 super chat. Cody Rhodes is now officially the John Cena of AEW. Refuses to turn despite more than half the crowd booing him every night. Insert I love this and I love you promo here. Well, the difference is that at one point, John Cena wanted to go heel and thought he was going heel. And he actually had new gear made and new music. And it was Vince McMahon who basically put the kibosh on it. So that's the big difference. I think even Cena recognized at one point, I think this would have been 2012, after he lost to The Rock. Even Cena realized it was time to go heel. Vince McMahon said, "Love that money from your t-shirts, pal. You can't give up that merch money." Fried chicken without flavor, dropping $5. Inner Circle against the Pinnacle feud is way better than the Elite against the Dark Order. It is, but not by that much. Lord Frieza dropping $19.99. I have not heard from Lord Frieza in a while. He says, Solomonster, I'm still here, been out of the country in the jungles of El Salvador. I get no good reception. I hope this makes it through. So are you still in El Salvador? What are you doing in El Salvador? You have me intrigued. But thank you for the $19.99. Ryan Spies Danhausen for AEW World Champion. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. Nick Grasso, Cody Rhodes is not doing himself any favors. He is turning himself into 2015 Roman Reigns. That is never a good place to be. Joshua, who do you think are the most over faces in wrestling right now? Brock Lesnar's pretty damn over when he's actually around. In AEW, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, Hangman Page. Those are some names that come to mind. Drew Johnson says, don't cross the streams, Solomonster. That's right, don't cross the streams. Sound advice from Egon. Quintus Brown, very good show. 2 bangers with Punk Fish and Deeb Shida. The main event was hilarious. I know that Cornette turned off his TV after the entrances. Oh, he's going to have a conniption fit, I'm sure. Ted Evans dropping $20. Thank you, Ted. Happy Halloween. He says that ROH news has my gears turning on who can come over to AEW. I would snatch up people like the Briscoes, Lethal, Brody, Taven, Gresham, to name a few. I know Tony Khan can't sign everybody, but dang, who are some that you would like to see? Again, I don't want to write off Ring of Honor just yet. And you cannot bring all of those guys into AEW. That's too much. I think, you want to pick and choose. I think Gresham and Brody King, all very talented. To bring in all of them, though, isn't simply not going to happen. Adding the Briscoes to the tag team division, the strongest tag team division that is really, I think, happening in any promotion right now, would be fun to see them mixing it up with the Lucha Bros and to see them in there with, FTR and other teams like that. I don't want to write them off just yet. And don't forget, Bray Wyatt tweeted earlier tonight. 2 days, he said. That was the whole tweet. 2 days. His non-compete is up on Friday. Where's he going to go? Tony Khan said he'd love to have a conversation with him. Food Hive, dropping a couple of super chats here. Holy Shida, Deeb was excellent. I love when Cody talks his shit. They are turning Andrade around just like they did Miro. Good job, AEW. And he also says, I am in awe of Impact's ability to outlive Ring of Honor. They have lasted far longer than a lot of people ever thought they would. Big Al made it with the $9 super chat. Morning from Japan, Solomonster. I have my Thursday off, so I wanted to start off my day on the right foot. Sad to hear about this ROH situation, but glad to be listening to you. All the way from Japan, Big Al, joining us live. What's up, Big Al? It's on my bucket list. Places to visit one day is Japan. Level 20, Facto Tune with the $5 super chat. At this point, Tony Khan should just make a play for the Ring of Honor library for the sake of future streaming rights. Well, if it became available, you know what? He would be crazy not to snatch it up before WWE has a chance to. Because they've got CM Punk under contract, they've got Bryan Danielson under contract. Just that footage alone for their whole body of work from Ring of Honor and All In. They would finally have the rights to the All In show that's really what started this whole thing. That really is what put the exclamation point on AEW. The Jericho match with Omega at Wrestle Kingdom that year is what got Tony Khan interested in maybe doing something, but the success of that All In show is what really set the course for what was to come with AEW as a company and the success that they had, and they don't even have the rights to it. If they ever got the Ring of Honor library, though, they would. Because Ring of Honor is the one who owns the footage. Where the fuck I am sent in a $4.99 super chat. Well, you're on the Sound Off channel. That's where the fuck you are. Would you rather have unlimited wrestling? Would you rather have unlimited wrestling but no pancakes? Or pancakes, unlimited pancakes, and I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You really don't know where the fuck you are. But thank you for the $4.99. I would answer your question, but I have no idea what you're asking. I love pancakes, though. In fact, I had pancakes for dinner tonight. Funny you should mention that. Walnut pancakes. Jacob Donnelly with the $5. I was at the show tonight, and Deeb against Shida was probably the match. It wasn't probably, it was the match of the night. Crowd was heavily behind Shida. It was awesome. Yeah, well, as someone who watched it on TV, I could tell you it was the match of the night, so you lucked out being there live for that. Hopefully the rest of the show was just as fun. Are they taping Rampage? I think Rampage is another tape show this week. Rodimus Prime with the $30 drop. Shida against Deeb was clearly the match of the night. That said, really sucks to hear about Ring of Honor. Top 3 moments from Ring of Honor. I was there live when Homicide won the Ring of Honor World title for the first time, so that was a pretty cool moment. I mean, there's been a whole bunch of them. I don't even remember all of them, honestly, but that was one. And I was at the, I think it was it Death Before Dishonor? No, I forgot what oh my God. It was September of 2009. It was the night that Bruno Sammartino came to Ring of Honor. And he did this whole speech in the ring, and the whole roster was outside the ring surrounding it like lumberjacks, just listening and hanging on to every word. I was in the third row that night watching this, and it was a special moment. And that was the night they did Nigel McGuinness, I think, against Naomichi Marufuji for the GHC title, and Bryan Danielson against Kenta in the main event for the ROH World title. That was the best Ring of Honor event I've ever been to. That was in September of 2009. Ren Silver with the $5 super chat. When you watch Joker, do you think you'll cover it for a few minutes on a stream or a podcast? Also, chat, what did you think of Joker? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I think when I finally watch Joker, we're going to throw a party here on the channel. People are going to be amazed that I've actually made time to sit down and watch it. Quintus Brown, in other news, Bray tweeted during the show 2 more days, yes, which I just mentioned. Justin Hare dropping $9.99, showing my support. Justin, thank you. It means a lot. Domination Warrior, shout out to Ibushi for a speedy recovery. Yes, Ibushi dislocated. He dislocated his shoulder in the finals of the G1 Climax. And they had to stop the match, and he's going to be out for 2 months. So he is expected back sometime in December, which means he might be back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. But he also says, which do you prefer, Danielson in the G1 or Suzuki winning the IWGP Championship? I think it would be cool for Suzuki to get the title once, but I would rather see Danielson in the G1. I'm waiting for him to go over and have a big match at the Tokyo Dome, be part of the G1. I'm hoping next year it happens. Brian Becerra, who's buying the video library of ROH if the company goes under? The highest bidder. Whoever pays more for it. Dried chicken without flavor. It was a great Dynamite show tonight. I didn't take the main event too seriously, but Shida against Deeb was my favorite match of the night. As Naya's hole covers my super chats here. Maroa. I'll get to EJ in a second. Maroa with the $5 super chat. I'm at the arena now. Make sure to watch Danielson against Kingston on Rampage as it was a classic. Well, there you go. There's my answer. I wasn't sure if it was being taped tonight, but there you go. Well, I heard great things about Andrade and Pac, and then they went out on TV last week, and they had a fucking great match. So if Maroa says it was a classic, then it should be a great match. EJ Slemp with the $4.99. Missed the show tonight because I was promoted at work and had training. Congratulations to EJ for being promoted to head fry cook. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's what Kevin Nash said about CM Punk, right? Short order cook at a Waffle House. Is that what he called him? But no, congrats, EJ. He says, I'm very excited and I'm making my way through my school's housing department. Well, I don't have any champagne or anything like that, but I will salute you here with my mug. Congrats to EJ. EJ joins us every week. He's one of the diehards here on the channel. Steven Chappa, as I said earlier, thank you, brother, for the $50. That was very kind of you. Steven here kicking ass on the stream tonight. The Antagonist, $5. Sorry I missed the birthday stream. Happy belated, Monster. Well, thank you. Thanks for all the great content. How does AEW keep Orange Cassidy fresh? How do they keep their orange juice fresh without repackaging him? You know, Yeah, I mean, look, the gimmick can only go so far. I think they're going to run with it until the crowds just stop reacting to it. The crowds have not shown any slowing down as far as Orange Cassidy is concerned. He's still one of the most over baby faces in the entire company. And I know it drives certain people crazy to hear that, but it's true. You know, the AEW fans love Orange Cassidy. He goes out there, he gets a huge reaction. People are into his shtick. When they stop reacting to it, he'll have to adapt. And it might just mean changing his look up a little bit and being more outgoing on promos, showing more charisma even on promos. I don't know if he would go heel, but he's going to have to change it up at some point. But there's no need for him to right now because the guy's fucking over. It's like, it's crazy. But the fans love him. Boots, silly Brit, tricks are for kids. Del Fuego was at last week's Dynamite. It was amazing. First ever show. Got to wait 2 more weeks to go home to Minneapolis for both shows. Vlogs are coming soon. Well, you got to tell me again what this Minneapolis street fight entails. I want to know what makes a Minneapolis street fight different than a New York City street fight. You know, here we have giant rats. You can just pick them up by the tail. You can swing them around and use them as a weapon. What does Minneapolis have? Dried Chicken Minnesota Street Fight will be a cinematic match. Are you telling me, or is that just an opinion that you think it will be a cinematic match? Shambly Games. I haven't watched Dynamite yet, but I just wanted to show support for the channel. Keep up the good work. Shambly, thank you. Make sure you watch that women's match. It comes with snow. Juan Ocampo says it comes with snow. No, that's Sting's gimmick. Michael Cuomo says on Don Tony's Patreon, had a survey tournament style for best horror flicks. The finals was Halloween against Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween won, as it should have. Actually, it's funny, I featured those two in my thumbnail tonight. We had Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. But Halloween is the only answer. Jesse Baya, the $10 super chat. Dusty, I share your hard times. Older Cody, we will all succeed together. Current Cody, my wife is too hot. Sorry, I've been busy in Hollywood. He still wants to be the underdog, but he just isn't. Dried Chicken, Jim Cornette probably turned the TV off when the main event happened. Why is everybody so obsessed with Jim Cornette? Who gives a shit? Who cares? I mean, it's like, that's the first thing people think of. It's like he's got people wrapped around his little finger, boy. Let me tell you. Holy shit. The emails even that I get asking me, what is Cornette gonna think? Who cares? Who gives a fuck? If you care, you'll watch his clips on his channel or, you know, download his podcast. You know, I'll catch a Cornette clip every now and then and laugh at it. It can be funny, but don't base everything that you see on AEW television on what you think Jim Cornette is going to think of it, because Jim Cornette is probably not going to like it. And that's perfectly fine. He's entitled not to like it if he doesn't want to, but why people are so obsessed over his opinion, I don't understand. Drew Johnson, Solomonster, you're the man. How excited are you about the new Ghostbusters movie? Not as excited as I was about the new Halloween movie, but I saw the trailer and I'm going to watch it probably when it comes. Well, actually, is it going to be streaming or is it only in theaters? Because if it's not streaming, then I might have to wait to see it. But I do plan on watching it, though. Drew thinks that Punk's Full Gear opponent is Danhausen. Amari Johnson, buy or sell, wrestling with no fans in the building or wrestling with no entrances, such as coming out to no music or promos, which would be worse? Wrestling with no fans is horrible. I don't ever want to go through that again. So I would gladly take somebody getting a Bob Backlund entrance with no music than a wrestling event with no fans. No music would suck, don't get me wrong, but Wrestling with no fans, it doesn't get much worse than that. Johnny A. Cornette again with the Cornette. What is going on here? Cornette has no room to complain. He allowed himself to be crowned with a pumpkin at Halloween Havoc 90, so he does the gimmicks too. Of course he does the gimmicks. He did the gimmicks probably in Smoky Mountain too. He did gimmicks plenty of times. There's room for gimmicks. As long as you don't go overboard with it. Abanov with the $2 super chat. Could Jay White be the one who can turn MJF face? I don't know what the connection would be with Jay White and MJ. I don't get it. Why would Jay White be the one to turn MJF face? When MJF eventually turns face, and it will happen. It shouldn't happen for a while, but it will eventually happen. I don't think Jay White's going to have anything to do with it. Crowfeather Media, I thought it would be funny if the Elite used I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis and the News, since it's the same song as the Ghostbusters. Dr. Do. Now, did he mean to say Dr. Do, or was he trying to say Dr. Doom? Now I'm curious. Now I don't know. We change up the music here. But Dr. Do says, worst theme music, Mean Street Posse, Emma, or Lex Luger's WCW theme. I actually like all three of those. I like the Mean Street Posse music. Emma's original music. The whole, do. Like, I enjoyed that. It's almost hypnotic. Lex Luger's WCW theme I also liked, even though it's total stock music. But just for the record, I like all three of those. But the worst of the bunch, probably the Posse. Probably Mean Street Posse. Turtlehead. I think Cody knows what he's doing. By not wanting to turn, it makes us hate him more. Then he can be a heel like Bo Dallas. Well, if he turns heel in the end, then you're right. But I get the sense he really doesn't want to go heel. Maybe he's swerving everybody. Maybe it's all part of the work, like you said. But I genuinely believe that he thinks that by cutting these impassioned promos and talking about his daughter and his father and stuff, that he can get the fans back on his side. I don't think it's going to happen. Dried Chicken, this is an all-time low, and I hate to say it, but the Factory is more over than the Hardy Family Office. Everyone loves hating QT Marshall. Frost says the Lakers blew a 26-point lead to the Thunder tonight. Ouch. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. Dried Chicken, the Hardy Family Office has go-away heat or X-Pac heat. Where the Fuck I Am is back with a $9.99 super chat. The dumb question is a running gag. Listen to you every day. I'm the one who let you know about the Dom training with us at that's right. I do remember that. Dominic Mysterio, who was not training at the WWE PC. He was training elsewhere. Which is probably honestly for the better. I'm sure they do a fine job at the PC, but I think people are probably better off training elsewhere, working elsewhere before they even come to WWE. They get that experience, working outside the WWE bubble. I don't see that as anything negative, so. But yeah, no, I was legitimately trying to understand what the super chat said, and I was failing miserably, so at least I know I'm not going crazy, but thank you. The card in the chat, yes, tomorrow night is the season finale of Dark Side of the Ring. It could be the series finale, because as far as I know, season 4 has not yet been greenlit. And after that plane ride from hell episode, I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to get people to probably agree to talk to them, but it is on the steroid trials. There were 2 of them. One was for Dr. Zahorian, who went away. And one was on Vince McMahon, who did not go away, but almost did. I'm going to have my Dark Side review up probably some point this weekend, once I watch the episode. I usually watch them on Friday. Ryan Spies, Minneapolis has snow and ice for a street fight. So do a lot of places, though. What makes Minneapolis so unique? I mean, if they did a pay-per-view in Salt Lake City, they would have snow and ice. Or, in Denver. I want to know what makes Minneapolis special. You know, Philadelphia, they have the Philadelphia cheesesteaks. They could have a Philadelphia cheesesteak fight. Like, what is Minneapolis really known for? Del Fuego, Minneapolis street fight equals Snowballs, Vikings, and the bar from SummerSlam 99. Oh, yes, the bar, that's right. With Al Snow and the Big Boss Man. I do remember that now. Well, he says Vikings, the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, well, there you go. They're known for Vikings. Well, it's too bad the Vikings work for WWE and not for AEW. Steven Chappa dropped another $50. Steven, holy shit. Holy shit. Thank you, brother. Mr. Dynamite says they're known for the Vikings and Kirby Puckett. Kirby's still alive. Kirby died, right? I think Kirby passed away. Quintus Brown, MJF should win at Full Gear. Yeah, probably. I mean, Darby lost to Punk at All Out. So this would be the second straight pay-per-view loss for Darby if he loses. But I probably would have MJF go over. Drew Johnson, not a fan of Jim Cornette. But he says, you, my friend, are the man. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Paul Heyman. Is it true that your favorite wrestling event you ever attended was the Ring of Honor show where Bruno Sammartino made a special appearance? Are you trolling me? Or did that super chat come in before I just told that story? The answer is yes. That is my favorite wrestling event that I ever attended. So Cody, this is Ryan Spies now, dropping $9.99. So Cody against Black against Andrade against Pac at the pay-per-view then. Also, Cody's likely BSing on the heel thing. He also says he hates comedy wrestling but dressed like Fuego del Sol for a comedy match on Dark. Where the fuck I am? Yeah, I was at the WWE Vegas tryout along with my training partner, Ina, who actually got signed. Keep an eye out for him. I will have to do that. Yeah, they had a Vegas tryout right around the SummerSlam. I remember Nick Khan talking about that. I think they signed about a dozen people from that. Yeah, Kirby Puckett died in 2000. Wow, he died a long time ago. Holy shit. 2005. Where have I been? And Quintus Brown, what are your thoughts on WWE running a pay-per-view on All Out weekend next year? I'm not surprised. We all know why it's happening. I mean, please. It's the only time I think WWE has ever run a pay-per-view on Labor Day weekend, and I'm not even sure it was Labor Day weekend. They ran a pay-per-view on September 7th in 1997. Don't even ask me how I remember this. That was the Ground Zero In Your House pay-per-view, which had the first Shawn Michaels Undertaker match ever on TV. That was September 7th, so that might have been Labor Day weekend, but that, I think, might be the only time they have ever in their existence run Labor Day weekend for a pay-per-view. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's a little too coincidental that is a big weekend for AEW, and they have elected to run a big, whatever the show is. It's going to probably be from the UK. Whatever they call it, it's a little too coincidental. So, again, they're sticking it to AEW, and look, even though they don't want to admit their competition, we all know they are. They could say publicly whatever they want. I don't have an issue with it if that's what they want to do, as long as they don't run at the same time. So if they run on a Sunday and not a Saturday, right? Because I think AEW is running on a Saturday. Then I'm okay with it. Because I want to be able to watch both shows and cover both shows after they end. Where I have an issue with it as a content creator and as a fan is if they compete head-to-head on the same night. That I don't like. I want to be able to cover both shows live when they go off the air. They start pulling that nonsense, then they're gonna have an issue with me, which I'm sure they're very worried about that. I'm sure. But if they do a UK event, it might air earlier in the day, and then it just turns into a busy day because then I'm watching 9 hours of wrestling straight, and then you could just fucking kill me. But we all know why they're running the pay-per-view that weekend. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. But if Tony Khan wants to go around talking about competition, then all's fair, right? Makes it more fun. So Tuxedo says the pay-per-view in 97, Labor Day was on the 1st, so then that wasn't Labor Day weekend. And then this would be the first time the WWE has ever run a pay-per-view on Labor Day weekend. So again, please tell me that is a coincidence. Give me a fucking break. But hey, Tony Khan wants to crow about competition and us against them. I mean, WWE is well within their rights to book a pay-per-view that weekend if that's what they want to do. Let's just not pretend that it's something other than what it actually is. Paul Heyman says, Merry Halloween. Merry Halloween to you too. I hope you like my little Solomonster pumpkin here. Get all festive here for the streams. Drew Johnson says, Solomonster Scream 5. Stu is coming back. You think so? You think so? I've heard some theories about that. When he had the TV dropped on his head in the first Scream movie, that he wasn't actually killed, and maybe he's going to come back in this movie and be the killer. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see Matthew Lillard come back. I'm looking forward to Scream. I love the first Scream movie. Scream 2 was okay. Scream 3 I barely remember. Wait a minute. This is Scream 5. There was a Scream 4? I don't think I ever saw Scream 4. How is this Scream 5? I don't even remember what 4 was about. Who was in 4? How do I not remember this? Coggies. Damn it, Matt Jackson. The next time Bambi asks if you're a god, you say yes. Crowfeather Media. I have no sympathy for those who choose to sign with WWE nowadays. You have had enough warning. Yeah, I mean, they know what they're getting themselves into. So when you sign on the dotted line with that company, you know what you are allowed to do. You know what you are not allowed to do. I have people telling me that Scream 4 sucks and I shouldn't watch it. Scream 4 had Emma Roberts. I don't remember this at all. Wow, that just went completely over my head, I guess. I just completely missed it. Well, you learn something new every day. I was today years old when I learned that there was a Scream 4. All right, well, I think I'm all caught up on your super chats, which were amazing. So I want to thank everybody who donated here. Should we be the booker? Is it time to be the booker? We do a little be the booker at the end of these streams here. So why not, right? It is time for Be the Booker. We're going to have to book a whole show one day, but right now we'll just book one match and completely at random. See what this Halloween edition of Dynamite brings us, what kind of a scary outcome here we get. One half of our WrestleMania main event is the gentleman we were just talking about, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. How about that? One half of the WrestleMania main event, MJF. Who will MJF be stepping into the ring with? This should be interesting. MJF one-on-one against Roderick. No, wait a minute. Oh. What a tease. What a tease. Hey, at least that would have been a good match. MJF in the WrestleMania main event against Bully Ray. It might be good for promos, but it ain't good for a WrestleMania main event. I'm sorry. That is a fail. However, we did something on last week's stream. I'm gonna dare to give it another shot here. Didn't work out too well when I tried this last week, because I picked Nia Jax. Was the first person I picked in the very first female installment of Be the Booker. I am hoping that we have better luck here when we try this again. Let's give the ladies their chance and see who is going to be one half of the women's WrestleMania main event. We have Vanessa Bourne, I believe. I almost forgot her name. Vanessa Bourne, who is no longer employed by WWE, but I believe that is Vanessa Bourne. I thought it was Nia at first. Vanessa Bourne one-on-one in your WrestleMania main event against Doudrop. Vanessa Bourne against Doudrop in the WrestleMania main event. We are not having a good week. Not a good week for Be the Booker. Well, we tried. That's all you can do, right? All you can do is try. You get knocked down, you dust yourself off, you come back next week and you do it again. Boy, if I tried to sell tickets to a WrestleMania with MJF against Bully Ray and Vanessa Bourne against Doudrop, I think I would owe people money. I'd have to pay them to come into the building. Those are not... See, WrestleMania is all about attractions. Not that Doudrop is a bad wrestler, but it's all about attractions. That's not going to cut it. Let's go back to the super chats here. We got a few more. Where the Fuck I Am is back again. LOL, his name is ENA like DNA, but with an E. That tryout is the closest I have ever been to passing out. Actual legal torture. Well, it's kind of like watching Raw. Luis Belmont Show. Our good friend Luis joining us here Halloween week. How about this? If Ring of Honor goes away, Impact becomes the de facto number 3 promotion in the United States. Really don't want their death to happen. You know, I might disagree with that. I think GCW and MLW were making a lot of inroads, and so I wouldn't assume that Impact would be the de facto anything. MLW and GCW have a lot more people, I feel, talking about them at the moment than Impact does. Dry Chicken Without Flavor, the most scariest movie and TV scene that gave you nightmares. Most scariest movie and TV scene that gave me nightmares. I am still mentally scarred by the Negan scene from the beginning of what I guess would have been season 7 of The Walking Dead. If you saw The Walking Dead or read the comics, which I never did, then you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. Two major characters from the show were killed off in that scene. So that might be the most disturbing TV scene that really stands out to me. Scariest movie. You know, I don't know. It's hard. I've seen a lot of scary movies. Some are disturbing because of the gore. Some of them are scary in terms of tension. And I don't know. I don't know that there's one that really stands out as the scariest that I've ever seen. It's a really good question. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. Kuma says Matt Cardona, the needle mover. Matt Cardona's everywhere, right? He's in GCW. He's in Impact. Not good. I mean, the guy's a go-getter. The guy had to create a push for himself because the company wouldn't give him one. Respect to him. WWE didn't do that. He did. Juan says the most scariest shit was Courage the Cowardly Dog with the King Ramses episode. Will not watch it to this day. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Buddy Ray. Is that the babyface turn for Bully Ray? Bully Ray becomes Buddy Ray. That's what Vince McMahon would have done. He would have turned Bully Ray babyface. He would have had him slapping hands with the kids on the way down to the ring. Heaven help those kids, though, if they say anything about his girlfriend. He'll take them in the back and he'll teach them a lesson. He'll tell them, you go back out there and you be a fan. That's what Bully Ray does. He bullies the fans in the back if they say mean things about his girlfriend. Actually, you know a movie I don't mention very often, and I probably should, that's kind of disturbing? The Blob. The Blob. Anyone see The Blob? Or The Blob 2? I haven't seen The Blob in a long time. Tales from the Crypt Santa episode. I used to be a Tales from the Crypt fan myself. I saw the Tales from the Crypt movies, too. The one with Dennis Miller. What was that one? Bordello of Blood, I think it was. Yeah, Steve Mello. And shout out to Steve. He helped put all this fancy artwork together. Steve says House of a Thousand Corpses was disturbing. You know what? Anything Rob Zombie is fucking just disturbing as all hell. House of a Thousand Corpses was absolutely a disturbing movie. But so is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Disturbing doesn't necessarily mean scary, though. That's the thing. They're not always one and the same. Disturbing is a good word for it, though. Demon Knight. Okay, maybe that was the Tales from the Crypt I was referring to. Demon Knight. Is Bordello of Blood a different one? Paranormal Activity. I saw the... you know what? I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one. Blair Witch. What do you guys think about the Blair Witch Project? Proto Man has never seen the Chainsaw Massacre. Watch the original one from 1974, I believe. It's pretty disturbing. The Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, any of those cannibal Holocaust movies. I mean, there's some sick fucking shit out there. I mean, there's one movie I've mentioned. I'm not going to even mention the name of it. The one movie I regret more than any movie I've ever seen in my life is, I'm not even going to mention it, but I legitimately regret watching that movie. It was beyond disturbing. But like Hostel and stuff, those are like torture porn movies. They're disturbing, but they're not necessarily scary. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out with me on a Wednesday night. It is midnight here, East Coast time. I'm going to be back with you on Friday night, AEW Rampage, as the world title Eliminator continues. Apparently, we have a great match that was taped tonight between Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston to look forward to on that show on Friday. We'll celebrate Halloween on Friday as well. All right, we got one more Halloween stream that we could do. Get all spooky for Halloween, right? As a matter of fact, I just happened to be laying over here. Didn't Sting wear that once in Impact? Remember Sting had a mask and he took the mask off. It was like another mask or something. Actually, Sting had a mask that was made up like his makeup, and he took the mask off, and it was the same thing, but it was painted. It was like the most ridiculous, like LOL TNA moment that you could possibly imagine, and that's what that mask reminds me of. Yeah, but hit the like button on your way out if you have not already done so. And I'm going to see you guys on Slapjack. I look like Slapjack. I got problems. My career is over if I start looking like Slapjack. Yeah, hit that like button. And I will see you on Friday. And again, episode 728 on Sunday. We're going to have a lot more on... We're going to have a lot more on the Ring of Honor situation. And a lot of other breaking news, I'm sure. And we'll have the Dark Side of the Ring review on the steroid trials. And I'm going to be posting part 2 of our members-only Q&A on Saturday. So now would be a good time to become a Sound Off channel member on either tier. Doesn't matter. You get access to all the Q&A videos that I do. Exclusively for our Sound Off channel family. Like the mask? Couldn't find a Michael Myers mask, so we had to go with what we had available to us. But be well, stay safe, and I will see you guys on Friday night back here on the channel. I'm going to leave you with this. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Friday. Look at this. It's coming down over my eyes. I can't even see. See you guys on Friday. Let's go back to the thumbnail. We'll play some. We'll play some music for you. How about that? Creepy Halloween music. There we go. There we go. Happy Halloween, guys. Make that a super chat. Done deal. You got it.